Hi guys, so I'd like to continue with my story about how I was diagnosed with Myasthenia Gravis. I don't know if you have watched the other video on, the first input of how I found out I had myasthenia. Quick update: I was having myasthenic symptoms. My legs were getting weak. My eye was drooping. I had extreme double vision. I went to a doctor with that, who was able to find all the antibodies that indicate myasthenia gravis in my blood. So yay me, I was able to get treatment. Yet I wasn't able to reach my neurologist anymore. The ladies, I'm just going to call them, at the front desk were unwilling to let me talk to him. I was getting worse by the day, literally. Couldn't walk stairs anymore, etc. So after a couple of weeks of waiting, they informed me I had a tumor on my thymus gland, and I had to go for surgery in a hospital, and they told me to go to a hospital nearby, which has a very bad reputation. They weren't willing to make any appointments for me. They weren't willing to give me any information on that, and so I started researching clinics that had specialized departments for myasthenia. So after I was getting sicker every day, right? So I was having the worst heart palpitations. My resting pulse was incredibly high. I can't really remember how high. Well, let's say, resting, lying down, it was at 110. I was having the worst vertigo. Like when I was lying down, the room kept spinning. Every time I was doing any sort of physical activity, even walking or getting up, my heart would start racing like crazy. I was almost fainting from just trying to go up my stairs. Almost fainted while driving a car because just focusing was so hard for me. So I wasn't feeling very good. Let's just go on with the story. Anyway, so my mother decided that we weren't going to wait anymore, and we weren't going to wait for anyone to take care of me. So I had looked up a clinic in Hamburg that had a specialized department, or at least one day a week, where neurologists would see myasthenic patients. But we weren't going to wait for an appointment there because that would have taken weeks. So my mom decided on a Saturday, where she didn't have to work, she decided on a Friday that we would go on Saturday to the emergency room of that university clinic in Hamburg, and we were not going to leave until someone was taking care of me. I would have never done that myself, right? I would have stayed at home and waited until I died, basically, because I'm not going to be, I was already so weak and I was so emotionally distressed that I wasn't able to stand up for myself whatsoever, right? Any contact I had with the ladies at the neurologist's office, I had crying. I was just standing there crying. That's all that was happening. My friend took me places. When they said no, I'd just be like, all right then, and left again. It was a whole thing. I was too weak to do anything for myself anymore. So anyway, we arrived at the university clinic in the emergency department, and even on the ride over, it was about a 2-hour ride. My mother's husband was driving, so they came down to get me, which takes about 1.5 hours, and then they brought me to Hamburg, which is another 2 hours. And then we were basically sitting in the emergency department and waiting until someone took care of me. So we went to admission. I was just standing there being absolutely pointless, shaking, almost fainting. And the ride over, I was starting to feel even worse than I was before. My heart was going crazy. I had like arrhythmia that was going on, was almost making me faint by the minute. So my mom just went to the front desk, taking me along with her, and basically just explaining the story to them. Now my mother is very convincing. So they sent me back to wait a little bit. It was a very short wait. I'd say 10-15 minutes, where I was just waiting for first admission, the first admission physical, basically. And a young doctor came, because it's a university hospital, all the doctors would be assistant doctors, out of university in their first, second, third year. I don't really know the system that very well, but most of the doctors doing that work would be fairly young. So one of them got me and they took me into this little booth and they checked out my vitals, and he looked fairly shocked, and he was just like, so your neurologist just let you go even though you can't see and walk anymore properly, and you walk into things, and in this stage he would let you go home and wouldn't see you anymore. He looked very confused. So I just said, yeah, I don't know, I didn't want to, I don't even know what I was saying. It was just, it was absolutely spaced out by that point anyway. I just followed instructions, that's all it. He said to lie down, he took my pulse, he did what people do, did admission things. I just answered his questions, being spacey, trying to be friendly. So after that happened, he called in a cardiologist, yes, heart specialist, who looked at the stats very quick, and then a nurse came immediately and they led me into the emergency room. So if anyone has ever been to an emergency room, they do not admit if they can send you home. They will try and send you home because they're trying to keep open their capacities for accidents or heart attacks or whatever it is, and obviously they need to keep open their capacities. So I walked in, and within altogether, including the first assessment, and within half an hour they had given me a bed, which basically shows you how the situation was turning out to be, right? So this little nurse came, and she was a tiny little woman, and she was basically leading me by the hand through the emergency room and got me into a private room, which is also not something that just happens like that in Germany. You never have private rooms in hospitals unless you have private healthcare, which I definitely do not. And she gave me a hospital gown and told me to lie down, and I did, because I was not in a state to resist anything anyone was saying. I just did whatever I was told. And she strapped me to the bed with loads and loads of equipment. So she put an IV into one of my arms. I do not really remember. Like I said, very spacey situation. She put the thing for the blood pressure around my arm and started connecting electrodes to my chest for the heart monitor. So I was just lying there, and things around me were beeping and stuff was going on while I was just looking around, shaking, as I had been doing for weeks. I was just, I had the worst tremor. I barely could hold a glass of water without just shaking it out of its glass. Everything I did was just, they talked to me. I was shaking, sweating the entire time. It was extremely hot. I didn't know how anyone in a hospital could have a room that extremely hot without just melting. Didn't make any sense to me because I was melting, basically suffocating. So my mom and her husband stayed with me until the evening. So we arrived in Hamburg about 12:30 p.m. and they stayed until about 6 with me. Within that time, doctors came through, a neurologist, a cardiologist, an endocrinologist, hormone specialist. I give up on the word. They took me out of the room a couple of times to do testing, and finally I was left there to wait for admission. Now the doctors that came through most of them were very lovely, except for the neurologist, who was a young woman who apparently didn't have a very good day and didn't have the patience to deal with me being so nervous and sick. She did everything in her power for me not to understand what she was saying. She used words which I had never heard before. She was talking to me like I was an idiot. She was simply not very nice. She asked me why I would come to the emergency room even though I had a diagnosis, and why I would not just go to my doctor. And anyway, I had no business being there. She just wasn't very nice. Now the endocrinologist, I'm going to go with that, had a very different opinion. She came in, she touched my arm once, asked me if I was always this hot, rolled in an ultrasound and checked my thyroid immediately. Now remember, I was sick for a while, right? I had these symptoms of heart palpitations, the vertigo, the sweating. I had that for a long time. None of my doctors ever got the idea to check my thyroid gland. Now this young lady, she came in and she was lovely. She touched me once, rolled in the ultrasound, I think it's an ultrasound anyway, and diagnosed me with Graves' disease on the spot. It's just yeah. She checked my thyroid. My thyroid was already damaged and enlarged. As she said, it had like a leopard-like spots on it because it was attacked by the antibodies from the Graves' disease. I had no idea what she was talking about, but I was glad she found something. I was like, oh, that sounds very interesting. That sounds like I'm like something that shouldn't have been missed, because it was so apparent that the doctors in admission already called in for the consult of the endocrinologist. I cannot say that word. It's much easier to say in German, I swear. That's just how apparent the entire situation was. Yeah. So I went back to lying there after she was in. The cardiologist I don't actually know what he did. He took me with him, and I laid half naked in a room while he checked my heart or something. He even showed it to me. Like I said, I was very nervous and spacey, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I just let him do whatever. I was shaking around trying to make small talk, because that's like my default function. When I get very nervous, I just talk nonsense. You think I talk a lot now? Wait until I'm in a very uncomfortable situation. I'm working on that. I'm trying to shut up more. So he came in, and then they send in the other. There were a lot of experts coming through, which was a good thing. Which I think it was a very good idea to go into the university clinic, because you have access to all these specialists. I guess it's the same in every hospital, but I always feel that the students in the university clinic, the doctors obviously, have a more open mind. They have more access to, I don't know how to phrase this, they have more interest in finding out what's wrong with you, with the exception of that very rude neurologist. But I always felt they have, they're more likely to work with each other than against each other. I'm very glad I went into the university clinic instead of the hospital that I was referred to by my home neurologist, which is the hospital down here. They had closed down most of the departments, so I assume if I went in with a thymus gland issue, they wouldn't have checked any of the symptoms, just because they do what they're paid to do. Nothing against them. I know nothing about the people that work there, but the bad reputation doesn't come from nothing, Yeah. So what else happened? Yeah. So that entire story was terrifying. I was told that there was no beds available in the ward which they wanted to admit me to, which was the endo ward, because apparently the Graves' disease issue was so much worse than the myasthenia like for me, that I didn't know I had Graves' disease. I obviously didn't understand why I should be sent to the endo ward. I just gave up on it. So yeah, they left me there. My mother and her husband eventually went home, as they should. They had done everything they possibly could, holding my hand while I was just, being terrified. And they eventually went home. I took a long drive home and left me at the care of the medical staff there. And I think might have to end this here quickly because the video is already getting very long. I'm going to try and film a bit of a longer batch in a minute, because the ER at night is terrifying. I don't know if you are aware of that. I was not. I was very lucky being put into a single room because the outside sounded like the world was about to end. So yeah, anyway, I hope you did enjoy this video. I'm gonna put down some resources about the most common symptoms of Graves' disease and Myasthenia Gravis in the description. Also, if you would like to watch the video about my first symptoms to the diagnosis, I'm gonna link that up here. So if you wanna I'm gonna link that somewhere around the screen. So if you want to click on that and have a look at it, be my guest. So you can always contact me via the comment section, Twitter or Instagram. I'll also link my website and the blog down below in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know, because I'm never quite sure if anyone actually likes them. And yes, the next video will be my experience at night in the ER, which, like I said, was absolutely terrifying, but is definitely worth the story, I think. Anyway, I'll talk to you next time, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye bye.